Hey everybody, welcome back to Ginatopia. I want to share my top 10 eyeshadow palettes with you. I had been asked what were my top 10 favorite eyeshadow palettes, so I thought I would share them with you. Now, if I was going to do runners-up that are not allowed in my top 10, since I'm only doing 10 and not doing more than 10, they would be the Urban Decay Petite Heat palette, my Urban Decay Naked Basics 2 palette, and my Kat Von D Shade and Lights Plum and Sage palettes, but I'm only doing 10, so let's show you my favorite 10 palettes. And these are in no particular order, so that's I'm going to show you in no particular order my top 10 favorite palettes. Starting out would be Tarte Tartlette palette. Now, I adore this palette. I think it's beautiful. I was late to the game getting in on it. It smells like a cupcake, and the shades in it are beautiful. You have a large mirror, so if you're traveling, you can just throw this in your bag, and this basically would be all you need. You have browns, you have neutrals, and you have plums, and you can get a beautiful eye look out of these. They are so creamy and blend so well. This is a palette definitely worth checking out. If you've not checked it out, the next time you're in Sephora, just run over and color swatch a few of these and see if you like them. But that row of plums in there are absolutely gorgeous, and I think it's definitely worth a check. Next, I have the BH Cosmetics Modern Neutral 28 Color Eyeshadow Palette. This eyeshadow palette was given to me by Susan Dodson, and let me tell you, this eyeshadow palette is everything. I can't thank Susan enough for giving this to me. I get so many compliments every time I use this eyeshadow palette. Let me get something to help me open it up here so I won't break what few fingernails I've got left. I think it's $15 off the BH Cosmetics website, and they're always running a sale, so sometimes it's 25% off, sometimes it's 50% off, and I've even seen recently they had a sale of some of their eyeshadow palettes 75% off, but believe me, it's still worth the $15 that it costs a regular price. You have blues, you have pinks, you have browns, you have plums, you have some rust and orange, you have a yellow. This eyeshadow palette is just beautiful. They blend beautifully, and they're so creamy. I love this eyeshadow palette, and yeah, for $15 you can't beat it. And if you've never tried BH Cosmetics, this is a great way to start. So check this out. This is the Modern Neutral 28 Color Eyeshadow Palette. I love that eyeshadow palette. I can't thank Susan enough for that. Another eyeshadow palette that I love is from Tarte. It's the Tarteist Pro palette. Now, I was late to the game getting this eyeshadow palette too, and I had it in my collection for about 3 months before I ever used it. It's one of those eyeshadow palettes that is hard to keep clean. The packaging on it is just one of those that you touch something and it's dirty. But the colors in it are so beautiful. It's got a large mirror for traveling. It has got 4 really pretty shimmer shades over here on the side, and it's got 16 beautiful shades. So if you like Tarte eyeshadows, I highly recommend this. I know a lot of people are on the hate Tarte train right now, but I've already got these, and I love them, and I'm not getting rid of them because I love them and I use them. So, loving on that. Next, in my top 10, and like I said, in no particular order, is my Kat Von D Shade and Light eyeshadow palette. Loving this eyeshadow palette. If you're looking for a great beginner eyeshadow palette, this would be a great one. It is broken up into 3 quads, and so it's easy to decide how you're going to put your eyeshadow on because it's already done for you. And this shade right here in the center, Lazarus, is one of my favorite eyeshadow shades of all time. I can just put that one eyeshadow shade on and a little bit of mascara, foundation, blush, and lipstick, and I'm good to go because sometimes I just want a simple look, and that will do it for me. And I love Kat Von D formulation in her eyeshadows. And yeah, I wish that she would come out with some more really usable shades for me. I looked at that last one she had out, the Miss Divine palette. I looked at it, and the blues just are not for me, so I passed on the Miss Divine palette. Next, you all know that it would have to be in my top 10 is the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette. This palette, you open it up, just smells like you're in a peach orchard. It has so many different eyeshadow colors. You can come up with so many different looks. I know people think it's just a peach palette, but if you look at it, you've got peaches, you've got browns, you've got a green, you've got plums, you've got even kind of a little rust shade right down here on the bottom. So there's so many different looks that you can get out of this eyeshadow palette. Just give it a play, and you know, you can do a plum and a green, you can do a plum and a peach, you can do a green and a peach. There are so many different ways that you can use this eyeshadow palette. Just get creative with it. It is a beautiful eyeshadow palette, and if you've not tried it, it's something you definitely want to try. And Anna Banana, you need to get your hands on this palette. Love that palette. Another palette that I was late in the game at getting was the Modern Renaissance palette by Anastasia. It was something I didn't think that I wanted. I thought, I don't want these red eyes that everybody is wearing. But I went and looked at it several times. I color swatched it and looked at it, and I thought, well, maybe. And so I bit the bullet and I got it, and I have loved it. I have done panned one shade, getting ready to pan 2 more, and this eyeshadow color is absolutely stunning. So check that out. Now, they're very soft. They take a little bit of work to blend, but if you want to take the time and the effort to use this eyeshadow palette, you will definitely be glad that you picked it up and that you spent the time to use it, because shadows in this are gorgeous, and the looks that you get out of that eyeshadow palette are gorgeous. So I do recommend the Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette. Next, this was my first high-end eyeshadow palette that I ever got. Mother got this one for me, and I absolutely love it. It is the IT Cosmetics Naturally Pretty Palette Volume 1 Mattes. This eyeshadow palette, when I've not used it in a week and I go use it, I'm like, why don't I use you every day? Because I get such beautiful eye looks out of it. These eyeshadows almost blend themselves. Now, they're not in-your-face eyeshadows. These are nice, soft washes of color. And you have 14 shades, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 shades. But you've got this transition pearl shade right here, which can be used as an eyeshadow shade. But once you use your eyeshadows, I can't even talk, once you put your eyeshadow on, you can use this over top of them, and it transitions it to a pearlized look. So it actually doubles the shades that you have in your palette. So I love this palette. So like I said, I've already panned one shade in here and getting ready to pan 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more shades in here. So loving that eyeshadow palette, and this will be one that I repurchased. So I love that eyeshadow palette. Another eyeshadow palette that I love is the BH Cosmetics Carli Bybel eyeshadow palette. Now, BH Cosmetics really makes some affordable eyeshadows, and if you've not tried them, you really need to give them a try. Now, this is the original Carli Bybel palette, and she has a new deluxe edition now, which I really need to get my hands on. I didn't think I needed it, but I think now that I do. The only 2 highlighters that I use are these 2 right down here, because they are just a little bit pale, and I like a paler highlighter. They work well for my pale skin tone, and besides, the other ones are just, they would probably work for a bronzer for me. They're just a little bit dark, but they are pretty shades. Let me do those for you. But those are a little bit dark for me, but they are gorgeous. But let me tell you, this top roll of eyeshadows right here are stunning, and I'm getting ready to pan those 2 shades right there. So I will be picking up the deluxe edition of the Carli Bybel eyeshadow palette, which I think is like $21 off the Carli Bybel, off the BH Cosmetic website. And they had it recently on sale for half price, and I meant to get it, and I'm going to kick myself in the butt for missing that sale. But anyway, now, my last 2 eyeshadow palettes. Like I said, these are in no particular order, but these just happen to be the last 2 I've got laying here. These are the hardest 2 for me to get my hands on, and I think that's the reason I laid them aside. But number 9 would be my Too Faced Just Peachy Mattes palette. This palette, if you are a matte lover and a peach lover, you've got to get your hands on this eyeshadow palette. The packaging alone would make this into your top 10, because it is beautiful. And then when you open it up, smells divine. But the colors in here are stunning. stunning. It's got a nice big mirror, but the colors in here are just gorgeous. Look at this color right here. Just beautiful. I mean, you cannot deny the colors in this palette are just beautiful. They blend well, they're creamy, they're just beautiful eyeshadows. You've got browns, you've got peach, you've got a touch of red, creams. This palette is beautiful. So I highly recommend the Too Faced Just Peachy Mattes. And last but definitely not least, let me wipe my fingers off here so I don't get anything on it. Definitely not least is my Anastasia Soft Glam palette. Now, normally when I look at eyeshadow palettes, I will look at them 3, 4, 5 times, or maybe more before I decide to purchase it. Because, you know, when you're spending $40 and up, that can be an investment in an eyeshadow palette, especially when you've got 70 eyeshadow palettes. And grant you, a lot of them were $20 and under. So, $40 some and up is a lot of money to spend on an eyeshadow palette. But when I saw this eyeshadow palette, it was love at first sight. I knew this eyeshadow palette was me in a palette, and I had to have it. Look at those colors. Are they not gorgeous? That black down there is the only one that doesn't scream my name. I think this eyeshadow palette is beautiful. It even has shimmer shades in here that I wear. Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Most shimmer shades in my other palettes, I don't touch. The shimmer shades in this palette, I love. The eyeshadows in this palette are so creamy. They go on like a dream. Now, they're soft shadows. They're a lot like the Anastasia Soft Renaissance, or the Modern Renaissance palette. But let me tell you, these shades are gorgeous. They are so soft and feminine. I love this palette. This is easily in my top 5 palettes, if not my top 3. So that is my top 10 palettes. I wanted to share with you all. I had been asked what were my top favorite palettes. So this is them in no particular order. I wanted to share that with you. I know all of these should still be available except for the Carli Bybel palette. This one is not available, but the deluxe edition is, and I think most of these shades are in the deluxe edition. I know that my favorite row is in the deluxe edition, and I think that most of these highlighters are in the deluxe edition. And all these other eyeshadow palettes are available. I would not have shown you the Carli Bybel eyeshadow palette if she did not have a deluxe edition that had these available. So that's the reason everything I showed you is currently available. So if you like my video, please click like. If you like my channel, please subscribe. And be sure to share the love, not the hate. There's so much hatred in this world. So that was my top palettes. And I wanted to show that to you. If you have a video like this, please link it down below so we can be sure to watch it. And yeah, I like to watch this type of video. And so remember, these are my top 10 favorite palettes.